I got to tell you the story eventually when you get a moment. I want to tell you how convenience trumped price in a traditional brick and mortar dealership.
M3.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast,
M3.
the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners
M3.
to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4,
M3.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. I've got a very good friend of mine, Mr. Shep Hyken. And I know, Shep, you are very humble, but I'm the promoter. I'm the host with the most. And I got to say, you are the absolute best customer service expert in the world. And again, I'm honored to have you on the podcast. So how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for that nice, warm, friendly, honoring introduction. Thank you.
Oh, you know, this is the A team, man. We don't turn around and bring like the number 3 and number 4 people out here. I mean, we have to have the number 1. And
all right, I like it. And you know, have we been in front of this group before? I know I've done a number of your groups.
Yes, in the automotive for sure. So we are with the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. So we are now pushing 27,000.
Oh, okay. This is so great. Yeah, that's fantastic. Congratulations. That's huge.
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 Thank you very much. It's huge. So matter of fact, Shep, what I want to focus on first is, because you're, an amazing return guest, you have a unique background because you are mostly out of the automotive vertical, but not only have you done a lot of business in the automotive industry with dealerships, you've actually worked directly with some of these manufacturers. I want to start the conversation there. The manufacturers that retain your services, why does a manufacturer like Nissan, for example, reach out to a customer service expert like yourself?
I mean, here's the thing. There's two places they reach out to me. Most of the dealers that most of the manufacturers that I've worked with put me in front of their dealers. Interesting. However, one company actually put me in front of their own people. I shouldn't say one company, several of the manufacturers. And I've been blessed to work with Ford, GM, Honda, worked with Lexus and Toyota and Nissan. Right. I've worked with all these different brands. And a lot of them just put me in front of their dealers. But Subaru, as a matter of fact, is another one. With one or a couple of them have worked with me, but one in particular stands out. And they had a program that had, I'm going to say maybe 15, 20 people on their team. Mm-hmm. And that team was meant to go out and make sure that customers that were just not happy, no matter what the dealer was trying to do, their goal was to smooth it over and make it right. They actually had permission to give back 100% of the cost of the car, that whatever the customer paid, even if the car was 10 years old.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. How many times you think they did it?
I don't know. I can't even quantify.
None. Zero. None. But they knew they could.
Okay.
And that's an important lesson right there, because what you do is with any time you are in a customer service training situation, and I don't care if you might be selling Post-it pads and people are calling you up to complain because the Post-it pad stickiness wasn't enough, okay? Right. Or you may be talking to a major automobile manufacturer and the transmission failed 3 times and had to be replaced, and they just feel they have a limit and want their money. I mean, they're the extreme cost opposites, right? Okay. But really at the end of the day, they're all handled the same way. And what we teach people to do is we teach them where the line in the sand is. This is your line in the sand. You have permission to get all the way up to that line in the sand without having to go back and talk to your manager. But you better do it right. Okay. And so here's what we do. We teach them where the line in the sand is. We give them lots of different scenarios, and we try to get them to say, we believe in this philosophy of 1 to say yes and 2 to say no. Meaning if they feel that they can do it and they think it's legit and there's several criteria, it can't hurt the company financially. It's got to be legal, moral, not breaking it. It's all the type of what's the word I'm looking for? If you want to use compliance, that's a word to decide might work. But all of the things have to fall in line. And if you feel it meets that criteria that we've taught you it needs to meet, then you get to say yes. But if it's something you haven't done before, after you do it, you go back to your manager and you say, this is what I did today, and it checked all the boxes. I'd love your feedback. And the manager should say, great job, or great job. Here's something else you could have done. Next time, do this. And by the way, I'd like to take this example because it is something that you've never done, and most likely most others haven't. And I like to talk about it with the team and bring it up and put a little spotlight on you. You know, if it was done wrong and it shouldn't have been done, almost the exact same thing would happen. You know what? I'm glad you brought this to my attention. The next time I want you to do it this way. Okay. And this is a great opportunity for us to shine a spotlight on you. And let's teach everybody what to do in this situation. You follow what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah. And so that's what you do. Get that line in the sand. So this group, this team knew that they could give away the car. They can give all the money back, take the car. It doesn't matter how old it was. And they knew there was 100 other things they could do before that happened in order to try to make these customers happy. And that's what they did. They went through and they made it happen. So I love that example because it's the line in the sand strategy.
What were the biggest challenges that they were having to engage? Just out of curiosity for that particular.
What are the biggest complaints that customers have in a dealership? That's what they were dealing with. You know,
can you name some of the ones that
I don't have any of the specifics. But I mean, that's what it was. Like the dealer said, we did everything we can to make this person happy, short of giving them their money back. Can you come in? Maybe you've got another idea. We don't want to give their money back. The car's 8 years old, for crying out loud. Right. You know, they've driven it. It's got, you know, X thousands of tens of thousands of miles on it. And really the dealer probably did most everything they could. So here's the other interesting thing, and it's not really directed at your question, but when you bring somebody in from the home office, if you will, which is the manufacturer, it's like that's dealing to the customer at a potentially completely different level. Well, now I'm getting something, I'm going to be heard, and really they're probably doing the same thing.
The perception. So, it's like asking for the manager, right?
Right.
Like, you know, in a typical like Best Buy situation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but when the manager comes out and it's a 19-year-old teenager, I go, are you really the manager? Well, I'm the manager on duty.
Yes.
Where is the manager? He's out this afternoon. She's out this afternoon.
All right. So same question, but different variation. When dealers engage you, or when you work with individual dealers or dealer groups, what are they looking for your help for, or guidance or experience? And how do you help dealers individually?
So it's real simple. We want to create the experience that gets them to say the title of my last book, I'll Be Back. How to get your customers to come back again and again. So what are they doing to make that happen? And by the way, you and I have talked about this in past interviews. J.D. Power did a study on what the best dealerships from typically higher level brands do for their customers that get them to say, I don't want to go anywhere else. And you know what they are? We've talked about this. I don't expect you to remember them, but I'm going to tell you what they are. The most common sense things that any dealer, regardless of what kind of car, how inexpensive to the most expensive car, doesn't matter. This is what they should be doing. And by the way, we're talking mostly about the servicing, not the sales side of things, because the servicing is what's going to get them to come back. The deal can be made elsewhere. But we want them to buy from us, and we want them to keep coming back and then buy from us again, and their friends and their family members, et cetera, et cetera. So, gosh, I'm going a little bit off track here, but at the end of it all, this is what we try to help our dealers do: create the experience. And again, typically on the service side. So here's what J.D. Power says: easy to make an appointment. In other words, you get in at a convenient, somewhat reasonable time. You don't have to wait 4 weeks. Okay. Number two, when I do bring it in, I had the appointment and you're expecting me. My paperwork's ready to go. Okay. Number three, you call me and tell me when the car is ready, and the car should be ready in the time frame that you called. You told me it would be when I brought the car in. You tell me what's right, what's wrong, or if I need to do something extra, you let me know along the way. And then when I do pick it up, it's cleaner than when I brought it in. You give me a car wash. That car wash part, I don't think is optional, but to me, it sounds optional. But here's the thing. This is what the best brands do. Tell me there's something on there that any dealer can't do. Is that list? Does that include anything?
No,
Yeah.
there's that every single dealership, even an independent dealership,
Yeah.
non-franchise, should be able to do those. Those are the bare minimum. If I want to build on what you just said.
Yeah.
In business, I've always found that it's simple. The goal should be to exceed a customer's expectations. However, I'm really adamant in the statement. You could never exceed something if you haven't even met the basic, expectations. What
Right.
you're saying to me are the basic expectations. If you're not even doing those elementary, basic things, how could you ever have the delusion that you're going to exceed somebody's expectations? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. So all my entire career, I've talked about exceeding expectations. I still believe it's important, but how much do you have to exceed them? Let's just say on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is amazing and 1 is the worst experience ever, 3 is average in the middle, right? Okay.
Right.
And I believe you and I've talked about this. What does it take to be amazing? Just a tiny bit better than average. And what does that really mean? It means, wow, you called me back quickly. Hey, my car looks nicer than when I brought it in. Thanks for the car wash. Okay. You're not going over the top here. You're just doing little things, right? And so what you want your customers to say is, I love doing business with them. They're always friendly. They're always knowledgeable. I always get in quickly. They always get back to me quickly. They always take care of any problems. Even when there is an issue between us, I know I can always count on them. That word always followed by something positive means that you're meeting or exceeding. Now, I asked Horst Schulze, who's the first president and co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton, how do you exceed expectations at the level you do to become what's recognized as an iconic brand in the industry, known for a great customer experience? And he says, Shep, we don't exceed it by a whole lot, but the fact is we do it maybe little things really well, and they all add up. I go, give me an example. He goes, you walk in or you drive up to a Ritz and somebody greets you, the doorman. The doorman looks at your luggage and sees your luggage tag and says, Mr. Bradley, is that your name? Yes. Thank you for staying at the Ritz. We walk into the hotel together. And as I go up to the front desk person who's going to check me in, that doorman or bellman or whatever you want to call him says, this is Mr. Bradley and he's here to check in. Hey, Mr. Bradley, thanks. So what's happening is you're using the name. How much over the top is that? It's not. Is that really exceeding expectations? Well, compared to other businesses that don't do it, yes. So here's my take on this. If you want to be on a scale of 1 to 5, get a 5. You have to be a little bit better, tiniest bit better, or always meet the expectation. You don't have to exceed it. You just have to get people to say always without ever saying sometimes or never. And then you've done it. Horst Schulze said that if you exceed expectations by 10%, you're going to get a 5 on a scale of 1 to 5, where if 3 is the average, just be a 3.3. That was my take on it. Bump it to a 3.3. 3.3 all the time gets you a 5 on a scale of 1 to 5. Sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Crazy, but smart.
Not that crazy, but easy, simple. Common sense is not always so common.
Very well said, my friend. Okay, so Shep, I want to kind of pivot for a second here, and the why buy message. This is a big thing in car sales, on the sales side, not the service side. Service too, but I want to focus on the sales side. Especially now. Now it is the most ridiculous pricing because of the inventory shortage, the direct to order model, the lack of production, blah 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 blah. The bottom line is that cars are more expensive than they've ever been in the history of automotive retail. And so the public has been reconditioned. 3 years ago, people would never even fathom paying list for a basic car, you know what I mean? Like a compact car, mid-sized car. Matter of fact, they would go through what the phrase is called triple net. That means what the dealership actually owns it for, which is less than the invoice price, etc.
Mhm.
However, what we try to do at Dealer Synergy when we're training our dealership clients is we try to train the salespeople that the reality that price is only relevant with the absence of value. There's something called the road to
Boom. That's a
there's-
tweetable moment there.
Thank you. Price is only relevant with the absence of value. And what really kind of ingrained this in my soul was when I first learned how to sell cars, there's a process called the road to the sale. Starts with the meet and greet, the qualify, identify wants, wishes, et cetera, all the way down to the sale. But there's two things that are really big in this process, Shep. It's the features and benefits walk around presentation, and then it's the demonstration drive. The reason why we evangelize that to our sales team is because we know that if a salesperson does a professional product, features and benefits presentation and a demonstration drive, it's going to increase value. It's not just pricing now, it's on the value. So what I've done at Dealer Synergy is I've come up with this strategy, and I want to kind of pitch it to you, and I want your ninja mind to help me make it better for our audience. There's 7 main reasons why people are going online to purchase a vehicle, or they're calling as a phone up, it's called, or they're walking to the dealership. Their expectations are pricing, availability, convenience. I say they hate dealing with a car salesman or professionally sounding. They're looking for a different way to do business. Research, trade, credit. So again, price, availability, convenience. I hate car salesmen, research, trade, and credit. So those are the 7 reasons. So what I say to dealers is this: if I asked you, why should somebody buy a car from you? Okay, whether you're a salesperson, you're a BDC rep, or you're a manager, hell, if you're the owner, Shep, this is the problem I find, and this is like an epidemic. Almost everybody, it's such a blanket statement, but it's true. The vast majority of people say the same things because we're family owned and operated. We're number one. We're the best. We got this award, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But the problem is everybody says the same shit. So if everybody's spinning vaporware, there's no value. Not only is there no value, there's a bunch of no value. So what I try to train dealers is saying, look, you take price, reverse engineer it. You got to ask yourself, why should a price customer purchase from you? Reason. Why should a convenience customer purchase from you? Reason. I'm going to go on for a couple minutes. Why should a person that's got bad credit, no credit buy from you? Reason. So what I want to be able to do is create like a content asset library. I want to come up with a bunch of expectations and reasons similar to I'm just looking. So this is objections and rebuttals. So in a sales strategy, you might identify a myriad of objections and then multiple rebuttals for each of those objections. That's one strategy. I think that's okay, but I think it's important on a CS level to understand expectations and have justifications. Does that make sense where I'm going with this?
Yeah. It's not just that we have this, it's what's the reason we're doing it. And
Yes.
is this the right version for this person? I got to tell you the story eventually when you get a moment. I want to tell you how convenience trumped price in a traditional brick and mortar dealership.
Yeah, no, I want to just say that you just said something just now that if I had like my little soundboard right here, I would have dropped a bomb right there. Repeat what you just said. You said it for the right person, the right message for the right person, something about that, because it's different from everybody.
It is going to be different. So you use the word justification.
Yes.
And the reasons you do what you do need to be justified.
Yes.
Because this person's value system is going to be different than the next. If you have somebody that's strictly shopping on price, you have no other value you can offer. There are people that is all they want. Okay. But if, everybody, and by the way, the industry has taught consumers to negotiate and expect to get a better price.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, just the other day, we were looking at carpet for our home, and we went to Costco. Costco's rep comes out. And by the way, the reps they use are just like a car manufacturer has dealerships, and there's a half a dozen dealerships that might cover that brand in your city. Costco assigns my account to a carpet flooring company that I could have gone to direct. So I said, is your price going to be different than if I went to you direct? Nope. But here's what we do. We if you come to us direct, you don't get the Costco warranty. I go, what's different in the Costco warranty? I go, well, we'll show you. And he side by side laid it out. The biggest one was, and no other, I can't imagine this. And I said, well, we're not going to be that customer. If we put this, you've chosen your carpet and there's 25 different colors. If we got the wrong color today, if you chose the wrong color, you got 30 days for us to say, replace it with a different color until it's right.
Oh, that's crazy. They
Would
really
you
do.
pay a little bit more for that insurance policy?
Hell yes.
Yeah. But here's what I did instead. I said to him, now, before you and I had this conversation, I left you a message. I went online. I went over to Home Depot. I went over to Lowe's. And I looked at and I actually typed in the manufacturer and the name of my color, which is a crazy color. It's like birthday cake frosting. I don't know what it is. So, I noticed that it was substantially less expensive by like pretty big dollars, thousands of dollars less. And I said, I don't need you to match their price. Don't expect you to. You're offering something that they don't offer. I do need you to get closer. That's it. And then, the guy, I can't remember how he ended the conversation, but he worked with me and called me back and he got me a better price. And I said, okay, let's do it. He goes, really? And I said, yeah. He goes, fantastic. I said, send me the paperwork. Here's my credit card number. It's done. And he goes, wow, I'm surprised you didn't try to work me over harder. I go, well, was there room? He goes, there might've been room. I said, yeah, I know that. And you know what? I don't want to be that guy. I want you to want to do the most amazing job. If I nickel and dime you down to the point where you're not making the money you want to make, you're going to roll your eyes just to take care of a Costco customer. I want you to take care of me. So I'm willing to do that. Now, I'm not willing to pay the full boat. I told him that, and he knew that. And he said, yeah, we're definitely. And I thought, oh, Costco's typically less expensive. But you know what it was? This time they weren't less expensive, but they offered the better deal because of that warranty.
Shep, I think that is very, very realistically relevant towards the automotive industry.
That's what I mean. It's just a parallel example.
So again, are you familiar with the phrase road to the sale?
Road to the sale?
Yeah, for a car dealership. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. So again, usually there's anywhere from like 6, 8, or 10 steps. It's like sequential steps for how to engage a prospect at the showroom door or the lot, and then take them through until you actually sell them a car right then and there. Here's the challenge, Shep. A lot of salespeople, they try to sing the alphabet A, B, C, D, F, G, which means that they basically, what they're trying to do is
do a numerical order.
Yeah, but they're not understanding what you just said before, that people are different with different values. So if I'm trying to sell you, Shep Hyken, a car, the same way that I'm trying to sell, Donna or Franca or Mark or John or whoever it is, it's different. Here's a scenario. So my daughter Kalina, if I was going to buy her Sweet 16 present, her first car, that should be a different strategy and execution than if I am selling a vehicle to a family of 5 versus if I'm selling a vehicle to someone that owns a construction company that's using these vehicles for fleet. See, a lot of times people try to freaking McDonald's it. And the reason why I'm really excited about you on the show is because you're the customer service expert. You are the relationship expert to me. And I'm trying to get third-party validation by a national, international expert like yourself. Here's what my concept is. I personally believe that if you're selling cars the same way to everybody, you're doing it wrong. This is not Starbucks or McDonald's, fries are up. I think it is imperative that we qualify and identify each individual's wants, wishes, expectations, meet them, and then try to exceed them.
By the way, you can still have those same steps. And here's the point. You can McDonald's, I love that term, the process, but you can't McDonald's the customer relationship.
Yes.
So there's two different. Here's the thing, you walk in to let's just take a scenario where I'm a customer and I walk in, but you don't know why I'm walking in. I'm here to buy a car, but you don't know why I'm here to buy the car. Am I buying for my company, for my family, blah, 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 all the different. Now, you engage and you ask certain questions to determine which answer. And most likely it's going to fall under a number of different categories. And now we got to go to step 2. Step 2 is going to be the same step, but it's going to be handled differently depending upon which type of customer I am. Step 3, same thing. We're going to go and it's just a completely same process, but the relationship needs to be managed at a different level.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Dealer Synergy is an award-winning training, consulting, CRM, recruiting, and accountability firm. We are a 13-time Dealer Choice Award winner. We have proudly served automotive dealers for 20 years and have trained over 150,000 automotive sales professionals. We've worked with over 3,700 rooftops across the country, not including our global clients in Canada, Russia, the Dominican Republic, and more. We are the most sought-after subject matter experts and pioneers of the automotive industry. Our executive team has a combined 75-plus years of automotive industry expertise at the highest level. We've literally taken dealerships from having challenges and problems, some even on the brink of bankruptcy, to becoming national success stories.
Dealer Synergy had really helped build something from the ground up. You guys have made me fall in love with what I've always loved to do. I give credit to Dealer Synergy.
I just hired 8 people, and Dealer Synergy HR really was critical in me being able to do it.
You provided the training, you helped us with our CRM.
You provided a solution for a lot of things that I was looking for.
Our people love LA, what Karen has done for me personally. Franca, her communication back and forth. You've got a really solid group of people.
Having somebody like Sean and his company that knows automotive, so the marriage between what knowledge he possesses and the fact that he has this great video production staff, it gives you the best of both worlds. So I would certainly recommend them.
Sean comes in the dealership and he advanced us light years ahead of our competition.
Just an absolute leading edge training company.
Go to BradleyOnDemand.com and give your team access to the best automotive training in the world.
And I think that's the other thing. What we do in our company is we've got a sheet. When we've got a client that is interested in what I do as a professional speaker, going out doing keynote speeches or delivering training programs with our trainers, we have a sheet. And here's the deal. Here are all the questions that have to be asked. I don't care what order they're asked in, but we have to have these answers. And you get to check off after you get the answer. And this is the typical order, but you can jump, you can do whatever, because if I come back to you and I say, what was the answer to that question? And you don't have it, we did not give this person the experience that they should have, and the one that's most optimally going to work for both of us. Meaning I get the business and they get what they want.
Shep, that's exactly what I was talking about. I agree with you. The steps stay the same, the sequence, but I'll give you an example. Here's literally, I'm going to jump into the middle of my process. Step 5, I ask a control question. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? They're going to either answer yes or no, mostly. Mm-hmm. If they say no, which majority of people are going to say, step 6, identify expectations following. Have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? Answers no. Okay, what were you looking to accomplish by going online? By asking me that question, I know that they're going to say either price, availability, convenience, etc. So for example, if I said, Shep, have you ever purchased a vehicle online before? No, just so I know what we're looking to accomplish by going online. Well, Sean's looking for the best price. Now I'm going to handle it that way. But if I said to you, Shep, what are we looking to accomplish by going online? Well, Sean, I'm really busy. I'm trying to save time. Depending on what their answer is, exactly like you said, is it's almost like pick your own ending of the book. It's still the same book. It's still got the same amount of pages in it, but depending on what the prospect's, answers to these strategic qualifying questions are, it's going to change the experience or the presentation.
Right. And the last chapter should be the same, but the chapter before it might be dramatically different.
That's why I have you on the show, man. Exactly. You're painting the picture clearer with your words than I'm trying to articulate. 100%. All right. So we're on the same page. Do you have any advice to these sales professionals that are listening on how to ask great qualifying questions? Because before you answer that, I need to motivates you even more than so, because this is the single-handedly the number one reason why people don't buy cars. NADA says the number one reason why people don't buy cars is because they're landed on the wrong car, which means they weren't qualified properly. Just like you just said about your own office, if you don't ask the right questions, you're not going to get the right experience. Well, it's like an epidemic in our industry. So what advice do you have in the initial engagement of the prospect to ask the right qualifying questions? Any advice?
Yeah. The extra question that I'm going to give you a strategy. It's called the extra question. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll, do you have this car in green? Oh yeah. Come over here. Let me show it to you. No. You don't understand. I hate the color green. Okay. So, what's the extra question? Do you have the car in green? Sure we do, but why would you ask? Well, I really don't like that car, and I don't really like the color green. If I ever saw that car in the color green, I would probably never even buy the car. Oh, well, then you're definitely not going to want the car that we were thinking about. So let me show you some cars that aren't green.
Understood. Good. Okay.
I know that's such a basic example, but can I get this quickly? Don't just say yes, thinking that you know what quickly is. You don't know what that customer's version of quickly is. If I order this car, can I get it quickly? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. And then as you're doing the paperwork, say, normally it takes us, 10 days to get the car in, then it comes in, we dealer prep it, whatever it is, all the things we do. Wait a minute, 10 days. I said quickly. Well, that is quick. We're going to actually get it to you in a week instead of 10 days. No, I need it in 3. Well, why didn't you tell me you need it in 3? Well, you didn't ask me. I asked if I could get it quickly. Well, you didn't tell me what you meant by quickly. Well, you should have asked me there's this disconnect now. And when you have this moment of misery that's due to a breakdown in communication, then you have a very difficult one to overcome, because it's real easy to fix a number on a contract that was wrong. You scratch it out, you change it, you add up the numbers, and now they're right. But man, when you miss somebody in their communication world, it's like you're not connecting. Before we get too far away, I think that this comment I'm about to make, and it's a story that happened to me and why I choose and still do business with this particular dealership. My wife and I were driving around. I may have shared this at one point with you, but my wife and I are driving around one day. Actually, we're on our bikes, riding on our bikes. We're about 10 miles out from my home. And there's a dealership. And it might have been, I can't remember if we were riding the bikes and we stopped in and we're all sweaty, or I had the bikes on the back of the car and we walked in all sweaty. And the reason I went to that dealership is because my wife said, this is a new car that you need to be looking at. It is beautiful. If you were going to get a new car, this is what I think you would love. And it was in the window, and we walked in, and the dealer comes up to me, and I'm doing the just looking thing. What are you here for? Just looking. And I said, honestly, I don't want you to waste any time on me, because I just want to see the car. My wife said it's going to be beautiful, but there's a dealership that's walking distance from my office that's far more convenient than me. You're over 10 miles away. It would take me 20 plus minutes to get here, and then I'd sit around and wait. Wasting too much time. Okay. And he goes, look around. Do you see a waiting room here? And I looked, I go, I don't. He goes, we have one, but it's pretty small. Hardly anybody ever uses it. You want to know why? Because when you buy a car from me, we deliver the car to you. And every time you need service, we bring you a loaner, pick yours up, and drop it off when it's finished. You don't ever have to come in here ever again. And I went, wow. And how much does that cost? There's no extra charge. Okay, well, let's sit down then. I'm going to buy this car if you make the right deal. And he sits down with me. We draw it all up. And I got to tell you, there was a lot to it that was really a cool experience. But let me cut to the chase. At the end of this meeting, he hands me the paperwork. He says, I don't want you to sign it yet. I want you to go back to your original dealer that you go to, because if we aren't matching their price, and he didn't have to do that, but because everybody's conditioned, at least at that point, that price is really important. They want to meet the price and then sell on the value. I told them when we were done, they are less expensive than you. What do I have to do to get the business? I said, you don't. You've already done it. If you do what you say you'll do, I'll never go anywhere to buy another car again, as long as I continue to buy this brand. And my wife still has that brand. We've bought at least three cars from them over the years, which is pretty good, in the last 10 years, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the story. I wanted what I was looking for was convenience, not price. Even though I feel the dealer didn't even have to talk price. I would have done the deal right then and there. I saw what the sticker price was. I know about what it should be. And it was great. It was perfect.
Shep, you touched on another point, and I want to spend time talking about the giftology in a second, but I want to focus on what you just said. A lot of times in our industry, we are conditioned or beat into an unrealistic scenario that everybody wants the lowest price.
Yeah, don't assume that at all. Don't assume
it. 100%. So this is a public service announcement. You just heard it from Mr. Shep Hyken. You just heard it from Mr. Sean V. Bradley. And price isn't the only factor. As a matter of fact, my hot button is convenience. I travel so much. I fly a lot. I got 4 kids. I got a lot of activities. And I think for me personally, as soon as somebody jumps the price, especially if I didn't bring it up, it starts to make me a little nervous. It starts to think, okay, wait a minute. Rapidly decreasing price or dropping your price as an offer, is my quality going to drop as well? Is my customer attention and my customer service, is that going to drop as well? So I caution everybody out there, don't just drop the price, especially if the prospect doesn't bring up price as an issue. Is that what you're saying?
There was a place I used to buy my clothes. And I remember going in there and the salesman saying to me, it was really crazy how he did. He kind of leaned against the suits, like leaned back on him. And he said, so I've got to ask a question. So he spread his arms wide. He goes, you can see we got a huge amount of inventory here. We've got your size in so many different colors and suits and sport coats and all that. He says, but I've got to ask, are you focused on the price or are you focused on quality and selection? And I said, is there a right and a wrong answer? He goes, there are no wrong answers, but depending on what answer you give me will depend whether or not we do business together. And I told him I'm more interested in making sure I've got a quality clothing. I mean, price is important, but because I always say price, the goal is to make price less relevant. And I got a buddy of mine, John DeJulius, who says, you want to make price irrelevant. And I said, how can you make that statement? Because that means that I can take this cell phone that Apple might sell for $1,000, but if I can wrap enough value around it, would you pay $10,000 for it? And instead of 1,000? No, nobody's going to do that. It's a phone, for crying out loud. You can get it almost every 3 miles. There's an Apple store or another store that might sell the same phone. So you can't make. And he goes, well, it's not really that you're making it irrelevant. You're just getting it out of the conversation. Okay, well, that's what I mean. Make it less relevant. So the more important things that we focus on are quality and selection. And by the way, this company, this brand, this clothing store sold the highest quality brand suits, the Zanias, the Canales, the Briones, and they had nothing in a lower price point. And if I'd have said price is really important to me, and I asked him this afterward. I gave him the right answer that he wanted to hear because we did business for years and years. But I asked him, what if I'd have said price? I would have asked you what your price point was. And I would have told him, and he would have either given me the name of another store or showed me what he had in that price.
It's similar when we train our sales team and our business development team in the beginning of the qualification process, not the first couple of questions, but maybe in the beginning of the qualification process, we do ask, which is more important to you, features or budget? Because a lot of people come into the dealership, they want rims that spin. I'm kidding, you know what I mean? But they want the shiny, blingy features, this, that, and the other thing.
I got on my car, I got that little thing in the hub that has the logo of the car that's on ball bearings, and it never moves no matter how fast those wheels are turning.
That's a feature. That's a cool
feature.
It is
a feature. It's a $175 feature, I think, per tire, but
per
wheel.
So you have a Highline car. Now I'm kidding.
I didn't want it, but it happened to be on the car, Sikorsky crystal shifter. Ooh. Yeah. That's like an extra $1,750. It happened to be on the car that
is this the BMW?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I know my cars. All right. So let's do this. Shep, I learned about this book from you and this concept, and I consumed it rather quickly. Giftology. Can you please talk
by
about
John
this?
Ruhlin?
Yes. Can you please talk about this book and the concept behind it and how you can teach dealerships or automotive professionals the value of that book and that strategy? Please.
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Let me give you a very short version. Number one, go to Amazon and buy the book today. And if it's online, like a Kindle, it might be $5. Okay. I don't have any skin in this game. It's John Ruhlin's book, not my book. Ruhlin, I believe. Ruhlin. Giftology, basically, it's a marketing strategy. But let me give you some interesting things. If you give somebody a gift and it has the brand, the dealership's logo on it, that's promotional merchandise. It's not a gift. So what I want to do is give you something that'll make you always think of me, but doesn't have my name and phone number plastered on it. Okay. So what could that be? It could be the experience. For example, my wife was in love many years ago. The kids are in their almost in their 30s. All of them are now. So it's like 30 years ago. I remember my wife said, well, we're going to have a baby. We need a bigger car, like an SUV kind of car. So she fell in love with the Volvo SUV, safety first, right, for our kids. So I went out and I secretly bought the car. Okay. And I came back and surprised her with the car, and the dealership had prepped it with a bow and all that. And the next day they sent flowers and asking, how did you like your surprise?
That was awesome.
And, because it was for my wife, obviously they made sense. It was all tied into it. Cool. But John says, do things that they won't forget. What's something that somebody would keep? John likes to give away knives, really nice, big chef knives. And on it, he has it engraved. But what's on the engraving? It's not his name. It's not his company. It's especially made for the Hyken kitchen. My last name, Hyken, or for Shep and Cindy Hyken's kitchen. It's like, wow, it's got our name on it. I am never going to forget that. I have a buddy of mine. I call this, it's part of the after experience. I actually wrote about this in The Amazement Revolution, I believe. Yeah, The Amazement Revolution. And one of the strategies is, what can you do as an after experience that gets people to think of you, that doesn't have your name all over it, but it's important. So one of the agents that books me found out that his client who was booking me was really interested in baseball. Specifically, one particular player was his favorite baseball player. I believe it was a guy named Curt Flood, who actually played for the St. Louis Cardinals, who was a gentleman who actually helped create the free agency thing. And so he went on eBay and found, I think he found an autographed baseball or an autographed Sports Illustrated cover or magazine that was autographed by Curt Flood, had it properly framed or put into the ball holder, and sent it to him with nothing more than a thank you note. And this guy put this on his, behind me, I've got shelves, he put it on his shelf. And every time somebody saw it, he goes, oh, let me tell you who gave that to me.
Shep, I think that needs more attention in automotive. We talk about that the highest closing ratio by far is the repeat customer at a 65% ratio for just sales repeat. If you're a sales and service customer, you're close to a 78% closing ratio and a higher gross profit. And I don't think that you should just splurge on somebody just to get them to come back, but I think that you should care enough about your clients and appreciate them so much that you want to do something that's going to blow their mind, create an amazing experience, and have them be back.
So you want to know what John does with the knives?
Yes.
He sends you the chef knife, and he sends you a block. Okay. Well, actually, I think that's gift number 2. First, he sends you this beautiful chef knife to put into your drawer that you'll use. And a year later, or maybe it's 6 months, whenever it is, he sends you a second knife, but it comes with a block. And it says, put the original knife in this slot. Here's the second knife. And we're going to add to this collection every year. And wow. Yeah. You see what's going on here?
Yes.
Tell me somebody does. It's like, and the knife never says the company name on it. It says made for the family of, or whatever it is. Even the steak knives are much smaller. they even have engraved on the handle, or not on the handle, on the blade, our names. It's really cool that he does that. And you keep adding to it. And guess what happens? People say, I want to keep getting more knives. Well, I can't wait to see what happens when I buy my next car.
Yes. So, Shep, this is great. Matter of fact, I got a knife from you, if you remember, a Cutco.
Did I give you a knife? Send you a knife?
Yes.
And it had your name on it, didn't have my name.
Yes.
And by the way, when I sent it to you, remember, I do, if you got it, I did it. And I said, I want to also introduce you to my friend, John Ruhlin.
Right. You did. Yes. That's why I'm talking about it. I was so impressed. I didn't just pull this out of the air, brother. I mean, like,
yeah.
I was blown away.
And by the way, I just gave you another thought about this. It's real important. So when you give, forget. When you receive, remember. So I did not remember giving you that knife. You remembered receiving it though, didn't you?
You know how many people I've told about you doing that? Do you know how many people I've shared that story with? I'm not just saying this because we're on the air. I mean this sincerely. I've told a bunch of people about it. And when people come over and they look at the knife, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. I just got the white pearl handle Cutco, brother, in my kitchen right now. So
Isn't
yeah.
that great? Well, that's cool. I'm glad. But I think it's important.
When you give, you forget. When you receive,
when you give, there should be no strings attached. This is a true gift of saying thanks. Now, I can strategically gift you. I can say, I'm doing it because it is part of our marketing plan. We do that. A friend of mine just the other day, it was my birthday, and he sent me a gift. You know what it was? A charity that gives away gifts to underprivileged kids that don't normally get gifts because their parents can't afford it. Basically says, my gift to you is 3 gifts to 3 underprivileged kids that will never have a gift otherwise. So there's this organization that does that. I thought, I called them. I said right away, I'm of course I'll send you a thank you note, but you know what I want more than a thank you note? I want the name and number of that organization so I could do
I swear to God, I want, send me that link too. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you can, that's amazing.
Right. So there's all kinds of cool things you can do. But I was going to tell you, there was a guy that made cookies. And whenever somebody bought a car, a nice box of really nice homemade cookies went, he now sells these cookies to car dealerships. Thousands and thousands of orders a month.
That's great.
They're buying because cookies are. And by the way, John Ruhlin will tell you that food is a bad gift. What if you say, I'm sending you cookies? Oh, I didn't know you were, diabetic. I didn't know that you couldn't eat gluten. I'm sending you a bottle of wine. I didn't know you were an alcoholic. I'm so sorry. You're recovering. I shouldn't have sent. So it's very dangerous to send a gift. Ideally, you can have your regular generic gifts, but ideally you want to find something of interest to this person and do it. I can't remember the name of the company, but there was a clothing company that if you bought from them, every time you bought from them, I don't know I'm sure if somebody bought more than 25 times, they would have more gifts, but they had 25 gifts that would go into every box based on so you can buy on the 3rd time, the 4th time, you're getting a little, but it's not a big gift. It's just a little something. It might be whatever. There's a company called Sweetwater that guitar came from. It's a music company, right? And whenever I order anything from Sweetwater, whether it be this microphone I'm using, the soundboard, whenever, they always say, thank you very much. And there's always some candy in there. Thanks for the order. It's sweet, whatever. And I know the intention and the message is there, whether I eat the candy or not. Wouldn't it be cool if they sent me something like, hey, I'll give you, I don't know if you can see these things. I do magic as a hobby and everything. You've seen me do my speech. I throw a little in there. There's this one magic dealer that always sends you a little extra trick or a magazine that they found. And they always throw these little extra things in. It's a great way of saying thanks.
Shep, can you give us an idea then? I want to challenge you with two questions, and then we could start winding down. I know
we have to. I know we've been on talking for quite a while.
Last question. This is a
beyond deadline, but that's all right. I love you like a brother, and we're going to keep going for a few more minutes.
Just 2 minutes. What would you suggest for a salesperson, and then what would you say for the dealership? I mean, if Sean Bradley, is going to sell the Hyken family an automobile, give a strategy of what type of thank you would be appropriate, or how
my answer because I've talked about it from the stage.
I know. That's why I want to say it again. And so after you answered that, then I personally think that a dealership should do a wow package, a dealership, because they have a little bit more resources, and I think they should budget it in. I think that a car is the second largest purchase the average American will ever buy in their lifetime for the average American. And if somebody's going to commit that much money and possibly the most amount of money in their life to this product, I think it's classy and special to be able to do something kind for them. What would you recommend as a salesperson, and what would you recommend for the dealership to provide to somebody afterwards as a thank you?
And actually, I think as a dealer, you said the dealer has more resources. Let those resources filter down to the salesperson so that they are that's part of what they do. It's part of their process, and the dealership's behind it. And the salesperson needs to determine which gift this customer is going to get. Okay. Even if there might be a small thank you for coming in gift, even if you haven't bought yet. Okay. And there might be obviously the knife kind of gift, depending upon what the use of the car is for. Okay. So I would say the dealer should support the salesperson for that. But what I'd love to see happen is for the manager and the salesperson to shoot a short little video. And I love bomb video.
Yes.
Okay? And I know there's other companies like it. Shoot a short little video saying, hey, Sean and family, it was great to see you today. And hey, by the way, this is the car you looked at. And you open the doors and, just have some fun with it, though. It's not a sales pitch. It's a recap thing. My clients, when I send them a recap of our conversation that we had, it's like, hey, and I'm just giving you a recap, making sure we're on the same page. Okay. Now, after the sale, I'm going to treat them the same way I did leading up to the sale. Because the most abused customer is the sold customer. Typically, you take them, you wine them, you dine them, and then they become a customer and you treat them like everyone else. Okay. Have you ever had Joey Coleman on your show?
No, I haven't.
Look him up.
I will.
The first 100 days are the most important part of the sale, because once that sale is made, the next thing that has to happen is you've got to validate they made the right decision. And he's now written a book that just came out, I think this past week, or maybe it's coming out next week. It's called, the book was called Never Lose a Customer Again. That came out a few years ago. And it's all about the first 100 days, reconfirming they made the right choice. This book's called Never Lose an Employee Again. And it uses the same principles in parallel. It's a phenomenal book. Anyway, Joey Coleman. I can go on and on with all my...
But you have to go, and I want to respect your time. It was an honor, as always, to have you on the show. You crushed it. A lot of nuggets here, my friend. And as always, this is Aaron in the Millionaire Car Salesman Group. Within a couple of weeks, it's going to be deployed and syndicated through our podcast worldwide. So Shep Hyken, the absolute best customer service expert in the world. Shep, can you please share with them how people could reach you, get a hold of you?
Just go to hyken.com, Hyken.
There we go, people. You've had it with one of the absolute best customer service experts, Mr. Shep Hyken. Sir, thank you very much, and we are out.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.